What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to 3 Star Draw. I am Down South 77. This is an adult collector channel where we talk about G.I. Joe and G.I. Joe stuff, primarily G.I. Joe classified. Every now and then, we'll be taking a look at some toys from some other lines that I collect and like and pick up a few things for. G.I. Joe is always my number one. Like, G.I. Joe's my boo. So I'm going to do a video today that is going to be a little bit different from content that you're used to getting from me, primarily because I don't make this kind of content. And I don't just mean the video, I mean the contents of the video. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I don't get to do very often because I don't know much about it. If you are following me, if you watch my videos, you're probably also watching Aaron the Toy Enhancer and Krusty Old Crow. If you're not, pause this, go subscribe to those guys, and come back. You back? Okay, thank you. If you'll notice that we've kind of formed a cooperative. We formed a super group with the three of us at the behest of some of the viewers that watch all three of us, and we interact really well together. We play off of each other very well. We get along very well. It's like we're old friends. So we're going to start doing some collaborative things on videos and streams and whatnot. And I'll turn up on theirs. They'll turn up on mine. I'm getting just now getting into doing live streams on my channel. So you'll see a lot of us together coming up in the future. The difference between those guys and me is they are very creative as far as what they can do with their hands. All of mine is up here, but I have a hard time getting it from here down to here. I don't have the background really, or have ever developed the skills to do some of the awesome stuff that they do, like building dioramas. Krusty can whip up custom figures in his sleep with the painting and the washes, and that is all stuff that I never really learned because I never really done any of it. I've never really done any jobs like as a career that have taught me those skills. So when I got back into collecting last year heavy with classified, I also discovered that I liked doing photography. Something else that I really didn't know a whole lot about and wanted to learn. I've always taken good pictures, but I've never learned how to take good pictures. So that's something that I got into, and building scenes and doing outdoor stuff sometimes like that. So I've gotten kind of adept at doing that, and I do it. I like to do it quite a bit. I didn't say they were good. I just said I like to do it. And I put most of that stuff on my Instagram, and if you're interested, it's the first link on my homepage for YouTube if you want to look at some of that stuff. But right now, I'm kind of at a spot where I'm really enjoying learning how to do some of this other stuff, but I'm learning it all as I go. I've been watching other people on YouTube. I watch a lot of Bob Ross, honestly. I do. It's channel 750 on Pluto. And painting, all of that stuff, it's all stuff that I'm trying to learn as I go. I'm picking it all up as I go because I've never done it before. Turns out I'm pretty crafty and I've got some good ideas. They just don't really translate well. So today's video, something that I've been working on, I've actually been done with it for a few weeks now, but something I worked on for a month easy, a couple hours, a couple of nights a week. I didn't want to get burnt out, and I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go with it while I was doing it. So, when you don't have the experience and the foundation to do this stuff and you just start doing it, you figure a lot of stuff out along the way, you make a few mistakes, and you wind up learning a bit. So what I've done, I've made a few dioramas. You can see back behind me over the last few months that I've built. Nothing fancy, stuff that some folks can do in their sleep, but for me it's a pretty big step just because I don't have that background. So I had the idea that I wanted to build this death match cage, and I'd had this idea for a while. And when we got the pre-orders for Quick Kick and Big Boa, the wave we just got, a lot of their promo shots were in this like Fight Club style underground cage type thing. And I was like, man, that's what I want to do. I want to do something like that, but I don't want. I want it to look good, but I don't want it to look that clean. I want it to look good, but I want it to look like this was something that they put together in an old basketball court outdoor or in the basement of some industrial building, and they just threw it together and it's made to disassemble and be transported or just left if they want. And it's going to be, gory, just kind of crazy thing that Cobra can force people into to fight to the death. This was all what was in my mind, and I was putting all this stuff together, trying to figure out how I was going to do it, trying to figure out what the components were going to be, because it's not like I just have a lot of that stuff laying around just because it don't do it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you this cage that I come up with, and it's probably not going to be anything. I don't think anybody's going to ooh and ah, but I hope people that are adept at making this kind of stuff and do it all the time will actually see it and be like, well, he put some work in it. He should have done this or he could have done that, but you see some work that went into it, because despite it probably not looking like much, I am kind of proud of it. So I do want to show it off. I did not take into consideration when I was building it that it is not going to photograph well. So when I got done with it and I finally put a stamp on it and I called it done, and I first decided to start doing my first pictures, and my pictures, the first pictures I did for it have been done for, they've been done for 2 or 3 weeks. But I was not real happy with the way they turned out, because it is really hard to photograph from the inside. Photographing it from the outside is hard to, I don't know, it's hard to explain if you do pictures and you try to photograph something like that. It's hard to get it to tell what's the subject and what's the background because of the way that the cage is laid out and designed. I didn't realize that, also being kind of new to the photography, I didn't realize that it was going to be that hard to photograph, especially from the inside, because I have a pretty decent used digital camera that I bought. I found a good one for beginners that's an older model. I really like it. It does pretty much everything that I wanted it to do, learning how to do this. And I've also gotten pretty good at taking pictures on my phone, thanks from a lot of tips from a lot of buddies. Biggest one probably from my buddy Jesse. I've gotten good at that. I like using the camera better, but it's a whole lot more involved. But I found with this, with the angles and stuff and the way that the cage is designed, it was better to use the phone. Some of the outdoor pictures of it, or outside pictures I did of it, are not as they are with the camera, but not a lot of them are. I wound up having to do the phone, and I do have ideas on how to do the next series that I'm going to do, and that does include getting some inside pictures of it. I figured out a real good way to do it. Just had to get all the materials to do it. So I'll be taking that series of them soon. I wanted to do it too and mix them all together and show them all together, because I think it would have looked awesome. I just couldn't pull that off because I had to acquire some other material and figure out a couple other techniques that I think I've got it down, and I'll be doing those soon. So way over explaining this. I just want you to see where I'm coming from, because I'm not on here saying that I'm gonna send this in as a resume to apply for a movie model making company or something. It's just something that I had in mind and was able to translate, because it doesn't always work out for me. I get frustrated easily, and I'll just be like, screw it. But I powered through with this, and I do want to do a video and show it off, see what you guys think. So what how I'm going to do it is I did take pictures throughout the construction of it, and I have done an Instagram reel recently with those pictures. I did some more pictures with it, and I posted those like early this morning in an Instagram reel. But I have not yet done the first series of pictures that I took with it. When I got finished with it, I was up in here till like 4 in the morning. I blacked my walls out. I used my little crates that I use and built up these giant walls, and it was a lot of work that went into setting up that shoot, and those are the ones that I wasn't super happy with the way they came out, but I did finally get them edited and whatever. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to show off the cage, and then at the end I'm going to do a slideshow with all of those pictures, just to kind of show it off and see what you guys think. Hope you guys like them. This video is really just kind of a milestone for me personally, and I just wanted to do a video with it that, hey, I got this stuff done. Maybe I can get better and do some other stuff, but I can call this one done, and it come out almost exactly like I wanted it to, just not the pictures, because it's really hard to photograph. Did not see that one coming. So I will do something I don't typically like to do, is I'm going to switch over and do some of this video with my cell phone. I don't like using my cell phone for videos for the channel unless it's a quick short or I'm out somewhere, something like that. But it's just going to be easier to show some close-ups on how I did stuff, and I will like show how I what I did and how I did it, and you'll see. So we'll see how this goes. Tell me if you guys like it. So I'm going to go ahead and get all that set up, and let's take a look at this thing. All right. I hope the audio on this is pretty decent. We're in uncharted waters as far as this new mic and moving it around and standing near it goes. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's not a cage. That looks like a piece of cork. And you are right. This is indeed a piece of cork. This is a roll of cork. I saw another person that builds dioramas to mention this and mention that it makes really good looking asphalt. And I thought, that will make really good looking asphalt. Man, that's perfect. So if I was wanting to do something that was set on asphalt or on an industrial looking floor, what better place to start than with a piece of sheet cork? Never would have thought about it. So props to whoever that was that I was watching their video and talked about using a cork from, where'd I get this? Hobby Lobby in a roll out sheet. People use this for cabinet liner, and it also makes a really good, whatever this is on the desk here, to cover your desk. Works really well for that, and I might actually use this when I'm not using the cage. I might just use this on my desk. It's already been in a couple videos, and I kind of hinted at what it's for. So, ordinary piece of cork says you. No, says I. So I did not make this, obviously, till I had the shape of the cage built, but on the other side of this, Transformers. There we go. Hope that's showing up pretty decent there. I'm going to grab that other camera on the phone and do a flyby there. So I had to get the cage formed and set on there before I figured out exactly how I could place all of this. I wanted this square in the middle, and of course you notice blood all the way around here, and of course we have our drag mark where the losers have to be dragged out, which is kind of funny, which you'll see in a few minutes. This I'm gonna run a video with my phone, like I said. I did this. This was a spray paint. I went over this cork board. I did not know how well it was going to take spray paint. This is the Krylon 5X. It is a slate, I think. I don't know. I don't remember the color. It's a gray. You'll know it when you see it. It looks like stone on the cap. I did all of this with that, and in here I also have some of the brick colored 5X. All of my base paint is the Krylon 5X. I use it because it will adhere to styrofoam without melting it mostly. So I went over that, and then I did a light once around with that Krylon brick color, let it dry, went back really lightly with the slate color, then I let all that dry, and I hope it's picking up the reflecting there where it looks like it's kind of maybe had some oil spilled on it, or it's kind of shimmering in the light. What that is some of the Krylon hammered finish. It's the hammered silver finish. Comes out really thick and flex. I just stood back away from it and went over it pretty quickly just to get a little bit of that on top and let that dry and it come out with the finish that I want. Just kind of looks, you know, you look at asphalt in a certain light, part of it glistens and gleams, and you know what it looks like, the weathered asphalt. Kind of, you see the pebbles in it where maybe the asphalt's wearing off, the oil's receding in it, you know, whatever. So I got my cage formed, and I set the cage down on top of it and went around, did this triangle, or this square, triangle. It's a rectangle, damn it. Rectangle done, and got my base shape in there. Let that dry. Went over that a few times. This cork also does absorb paint quite well, but that 5X paint is also a primer, so you can paint on top of it. That's what I like about it. You can do anything with that stuff. It'll stick to anything. Doesn't really need a clear coat. That's also the paint that I used on my plastic shelves that you see behind me in my video. My red, white, and blue 5-tier tall shelves. That's the paint that I used on those, in case you were wondering, to make those come out. And I did do a clear coat on those. Anyway, back to this. Got my cage formed, got it set on there, and then I went to work at figuring out how I wanted to do the blood. I did want my cage to be gory looking. I wanted it to be used. I didn't want it to look like just regular chain link. There goes one of my lights. That's the one that I got a short in. I don't need any more problems out of you. So this, you'll see when I put the cage on there, how the blood is splattered and how it is kind of the reason it looks the way that it does. So once I got my cage done, I started doing my blood effects, and I will kind of do a quick fly over here on this, and then we'll get the cage on there. Alright, so you can see there, got that reflective finish on it, got the light shining on it in a couple different directions and a couple of different colors. I was just going down it there and pull out a little bit, kind of see some of that blood. I try to get that blood very bright, very vivid. I wanted it to look like it was blood from a couple of different times in some spots, so it is brighter than others. Some spots are brighter than others. Did kind of do it that way on purpose. For the blood, I couldn't honestly tell you everything I used. I bought an acrylic set on clearance at Walmart a while back, and I used the crimson from it, a scarlet from it, mixed together with some Citadel crimson and a spot of color changing chameleon purple. All that went into this red. Alright, grab the cage and set it on there the way it fits on. So, if you can see there, I have the blood on the base of it lined up. good. I'll straighten it up here. There, got that in place just about where it fits on the mat. I'm going to raise this up and get a little better look. Alright, I'm constantly having to readjust all of this stuff, so just look at the top of it. I did some yellow there along it. Probably not even really showing up in this light. That's what makes it hard to kind of show this thing off. Right here I've got these dowel rods that slide through. They just kind of give the illusion of braces on the top of it. They're not holding anything really together, but I'm gonna, when I grab the phone, kind of do a flyby with it. I'll show a little more of how that goes. You can see in the middle here, I do have a chain affixed to that. That is the one and only way that somebody can make it out. They have to fight their way out and climb up that chain. That's the only way that they can escape. Here's a look at it from the other side. So I actually had to sit and, while I was painting this, of course I had to match up all of the red and then where the red drips down on the floor. That's why I did the paint on these, and then I set it down and I actually painted through these grates and kind of got an idea of where my blood splatters and my drips need to be on the ground there. So if you'll notice, as I spin it around again, there is no door to this cage, and that is one of the things that I questioned while I was building it. Do I want a door in it or not? Like, it needs a door. I did not end up putting a door in it because in my headcanon, in my Joe-verse, at the top of this thing, there is a walkway that meets up to it up here, and they drag you to the edge. I'll show this in a second, and they just toss you in. If you survive the fall, then you must survive whoever jumps in this thing with you. So that is the idea, is you go in from the top. Guards, whoever, can stand up here at the top of it, watch the action. You'll have guys lined up around that are watching the fight, betting on the fight. It's Cobra, you know, they're crazy. They're trying to make money any way they can. And the other thing that I did was I constructed some cuffs here. See if I can pull these out. That's what I said. It's a whole lot easier when you're not trying to get these things to come out. Where are they? There they are. So all I did was I got some chain, some jeweler's metal, and some links, and I sat down and I sized them, got them all the right size that I want, and I did measure it with figures. Hawk was my guinea pig, and so he stayed featured in my my videos that I did. Hawk was, as you will see, he was who had to fight their way out. He was captured by Cobra Commander and Destro. So I just used some jeweler's chain and some connectors here, and I made shackles. Now these do bend, but it's much easier with Joe's. I made this so you can pull their hands off and then just connect them to it, and that makes it easy. You got a pair here, and then I have a pair on the other side over here, so you can have two prisoners in there that are actually chained to the wall for whatever kind of nasty business Cobra has in store for them. And I'll grab a figure and show you what that looks like. So I just grabbed Hawk again. As you see, I have it up on its side. Try to do this without my hands being too much in the way. And And I did measure these out with the figures, like their arms were spread out, like they're trying to pull away from it. You can do it, you know, different side on, you know, different tension on each side. I don't remember which side. One of them is a little shorter, a little closer together in case you wanted to do a female figure that's chained up, like maybe they'd call it Scarlet and Snake Eyes or something. I'm trying to keep my arm out of the way. It's very difficult at this angle. Hawk's hand is not wanting to snap in there. Alright, sorry, I had to stop that and I actually had to heat him up. That's the only way I was ever going to get that hand in there without my hand being all up in the way of the camera. I hope most of that actually filmed. So now I'm going to set it back up on its side so you can see what it looks like with the prisoner in the cage. Alright, so you see you got Hawk in there, he's chained up, he's fighting those shackles there. And I left just enough room in the way I constructed the top of this. I should have measured it a little closer, but you know what they say, cut twice, measure once. So I got enough room, I can get my hand down in there and I can move him back, move him out, move his feet around. Of course, like anything, it's way easier to try to pre-pose these guys before you start trying to chain them up and move them up, and if you don't have room to get to their legs. I put that little black square in there, maybe that'll show up, make him show up a little bit better. It's awful busy back there, and that is why it is so hard to take pictures of this thing. It turned out nicely. I think I'm happy with it, but this is what makes it really hard to get pictures of the inside with a regular camera. So there he is, he's chained, he can't even reach that chain to climb out right there. Somebody's got to climb in and release him or undo him from the back, one of the two, to even give him a fighting chance. Obviously it's Cobra, they're liable to throw some troopers in there, or Big Boa climb down in there and beat him to a pulp. This is the back of it. You got clasps on the back. They're made the same way, just a little bit smaller latch there, whatever that's called, the little connector piece. I do have these little signs that I got. I painted that. You know, I like these little signs. I got these on Etsy here a while back. Did them in some pictures, or used them in some pictures that I did with tripwire. Those are some of the ones I still need to go back and kind of edit and retouch. So that's just kind of a feel of what it looks like with a figure in there and how I did the chains. Same thing up at the top, although this is an actual necklace chain that has a clasp on it. So this one is an actual necklace chain with a clasp there. I just fastened that. This is a piece of metal I got from Tractor Supply. I just measured it, dremeled it into pieces, and I was trying to figure out how to get it attached, and I just wound up using aluminum wire. Figured for the construction of this and what it's trying to pull off, that would look pretty good. So I just wrapped wire around it and cut my hands all to pieces and binded it together, twisted it from the bottom with a pair of long needle nose pliers, and I finally got it all in position. Kept moving, it was kind of difficult, but I got it all in position there, and then I went to town on it, putting a coat of red paint on so it looks like somebody is just being dragged and tossed in. You got blood all the way around the metal there, just in case somebody was trying to hang on, maybe had their fingers mashed or something by a Cobra boot heel. Like I said, these metal dowel rods, they just slide out. I could have cut some more off the ends of it, but I kind of liked them like that. Over here for the power pack for the battery, this is just the high voltage sign that was in that little pack of signs I bought. I thought this looked good on here, so all I did with this was I put the batteries in the battery pack for the lights. I think it's 2 AA's. Then I wrapped the whole thing in electrical tape really tight. Then I painted it, and then I fastened it with just a couple of zip ties there. And then I went over the whole thing and painted the whole thing black just so it kind of matched. And the zip ties actually wound up just looking like straps that are holding it to the fence there. I cut them off really close on the inside. Of course, you can see that, on the inside, but a little give and take there. I thought it looked pretty good. The only drawback to this is when the batteries do go dim. I've tried not to have these lights on a whole lot, but when they do, you're going to have to take this whole thing back apart, change the batteries, and do it all over again. But it literally took me like 20 minutes to get the tape wrapped and get it secured, so that's not really that big of a deal. But so that's kind of a rundown on my Cobra Death Match cage. I will cut the lights off and get a little bit of video with just those lights on, just to kind of see. Doesn't illuminate it great, but it gets the point across. And these batteries are a little bit weak, like I was saying. But that was kind of how I put the thing together. You got any questions, just let me know. I can walk you through it. And if you're wondering what material I used for the wire, I contemplated chicken wire, a couple different kinds of wire, craft wire, and I have a friend who is a maintenance director at an apartment complex, and he's always fixing stuff. He's always working on stuff, and you may have an idea where this is going. One day I went in and I sat down, was talking to him, we were eating lunch, and I was looking through his pile of scrap, and he had just scrapped out a very old air conditioning unit. This is the grate off of an air conditioning unit from the 1980s. It's all aluminum, it's weathered. It was absolutely perfect for bending this thing and forming my Cobra Death Match cage. So not completely dark in here. My mic is throwing off a little. I'm not really contributing much. My laptop's throwing off a little, and it is not quite dark outside, so there's a little bit spilling through this one window I don't have blacked out. But if you go down to the level of where you're looking at someone in the cage, those lights do turn out working quite nicely. If it's pitch black, it throws off just enough to have that dingy fight for your life fight pit. First rule of Fight Club is don't talk about Cobra look. You got some nice blood there all around. Just shows up, I thought, just well enough to give it that dingy feel. And so that was how I made this thing. A lot of work into it. I'm happy with it. When I do another one, I'll know what I should do a little bit different. So there it is, y'all. There is the Cobra Death Match cage that I built over the course of about a month and 3 hours a week. Took a while, but I'm pretty happy with the end product. Tell me what you guys think about it. And I will see you guys next time on 3-Star Draw.